good afternoon. Greetings to you. Thanks for coming along Tuesday.
Sounds like you're laughing already.
Well, I
Didn't
am.
it sound like he was laughing?
He was laughing.
I was, because you're getting ready to do the show. But to be honest, I'm a little weary today.
I think it's
I'm weary.
the color of the day.
I don't know.
It's very gray.
I just feel like you get those days. It's not like you're blue.
You don't seem like you're in
I'm not blue.
a state of depression.
No, I'm just kind of like, I'm not really tired, but I'm weary.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is that?
I think it's Christy's post-beach experience. We were just talking about the crash to earth that comes after vacation. You're back to work.
I haven't been on vacation.
Well, maybe you've.
I'm projecting because I'm going to be on vacation in a while.
Yeah.
You know that's coming.
We don't need to hear about
I'm looking forward to that.
I'm annoyed by it.
Dig that.
Mm-hmm. Because you're going to the beach.
Yeah.
I was invited to go to the beach this week.
Yeah, I'm surprised you passed that up.
Well, because
What's the
it was
deal?
one of those things
How could you
where
be invited and not go?
I know. It's one of those things where, and this is going to sound super duper lame, but I'm just going to be honest about it.
Because I'm weary.
Well, you're right, exactly. I have vertigo, right?
Yeah.
And so I can't sleep lying down. And when I travel, it's a little bit of an effort to figure out how to
Properly assemble yourself.
Right. And the only thing available to me at the beach was a sofa bed.
Oh, well, that's the worst.
And so then I thought, you know what? I'm going to drive all these hours to get to the beach. I'm going to get there. It'd be great to see my family, my extended fam. But then when it comes time for bed, I'm going to be sleeping in the living room. So I have to be the last one awake. I have to be the first one awake.
No.
And I'm on the sofa bed.
No.
That's why I didn't do it.
Listen, there are two worst words that go together in English. The sofa bed. Have you ever slept on a sofa bed? You thought, hey, this feels really great.
Yeah.
Usually it's like this piece of metal smashing up through your spine.
And you know how when you're looking for a sofa, you think to yourself,
No.
maybe should I get a sofa?
No, you
someone
should
wants
not.
to stay. Should I get a sofa? But then you think no one ever wants to sleep on the sofa bed.
We had a love seat that turned into a sofa
Yeah.
bed. And when sometimes in the rare instances, I was like, I felt so bad. I was like, this is a horrible host apologizing for inflicting that
And
pain.
you paid extra for that love
sure we
seat,
did.
so you could get the sofa bed
The
option.
kids would sleep on it. They thought it was like, oh, we're like camping out on the sofa bed.
Well, if it's a kid, that's fine.
Yeah, my kid. But, company coming over.
Listen, I bought a sofa bed when my kids were very little. We were very poor, and we just didn't.
Didn't have it.
Anyway, so I found there was a. This is not recommended.
Oh, good. I look forward to this
I bought
one.
a sofa bed at Goodwill.
And someone died on it.
Well, who knows? Because it didn't come with, What do you call it? What's the word for when you buy a fine work of art and it comes with it begins with the P? The word, all the people who've owned it.
Appraised.
No, it starts with a P. It's
What? P.
I can't think of what it's called. Anyway, the sofa bed did not come with
with a
that,
P.
and so.
Oh, there was P on it. Don't worry about that. I'm sure there was.
Listen, I bet we only had it maybe 2 months or something, and then even I was like, you know what, this has to go. This is bad.
Yeah, you should know better,
this is
right?
So bad.
The things you do when you're like really broke.
Listen,
I'm so broke. This looks good to me. This will work.
I
Fine.
thought the kids could play on it. It'd be fun. Whatever. Mistake.
Anyways.
Lesson learned.
All right, thank you for that. It helped my weariness.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, as we always do, we kick off the show. Kath gives us a look at the news day, and it's a slow news day.
There's not much going on.
Not much going on there, right? As we always do, Kath, give us the top 4 at 4.
All right, for Tuesday, the weary day, August 31st, 2021. Number 1. The Taliban was in firm control of Kabul's international airport this morning, hours after the last U.S. military plane took off, officially ending America's longest ever war. But the fate of dozens of American citizens and, of course, many more Afghans who helped the U.S. and its allies was uncertain after they were left behind by a chaotic evacuation effort. According to CBS News, defensive flares lit up the sky in Kabul as the last American C-17s flew out of the Afghan capital for good. Moments later, celebratory Taliban gunfire rang out across the city, lighting up the night sky with tracer fire like fireworks. By this morning, the Taliban were out in force, not only on the streets and at Kabul's airport, where videos showed gunmen posing with some of the disabled military equipment left behind. Just another reminder, of course, that America's longest war ended with a chaotic, calamitous mass evacuation and a suicide bombing by the ISIS faction in Afghanistan that cost the lives of 13 U.S. service members and 170 Afghan citizens. Number 2. Many European countries are in no hurry to close the door to American tourists, John, despite a new EU recommendation to national authorities to halt non-essential travel from these here United States. According to the Wall Street Journal, the EU's decision to remove us, can you believe it? Remove us from its list of safe countries for travel amid the pandemic reflects the growing spread of the Delta variant in the U.S., where vaccination rates have fallen behind those in many EU countries. We were so far ahead for so long. Now we're behind.
It's like the Pirates.
Except we were ahead for such a short time. It's the Pirates. It's like I blinked and it was over. The decision also reflects EU frustration that the U.S. has not reciprocated the EU's efforts to reopen transatlantic travel, instead remaining closed for non-essential travel. So we can go there, but they can't come here.
Nope.
They're sick of that. Number 3, Mike Richards, he's officially out as executive producer of Jeopardy!
Oh, no.
Yeah, after
Boy,
recently
oh,
stepping
boy.
down as the quiz show's new permanent host.
Gosh.
Listen, according to ABC News, the announcement was shared with Jeopardy! And Wheel of Fortune staff today via an internal note.
Holy moly.
Richards had come under fire for resurfaced controversial comments he made on a podcast he hosted 2013 to 2014, and also a 2010 lawsuit in which a former model on The Price is Right, did you hear about this?
Nope.
During Richards' tenure on the program, alleged her contract was not renewed after she gave birth. Of the discrimination case, which was settled out of court without any admission of wrongdoing, Richards said the allegations, quote, don't reflect the reality of who I am. What does that mean? They don't reflect the reality.
The wheels have fallen off. I mean, Jeopardy was once, this stalwart.
It's
now
like-
it's become a
It's totally
dumpster fire.
unhinged, right?
Yeah.
Number 4, and I'm not sure if this came up on yesterday's show, you guys, but I love a weird animal story, so I cannot miss the opportunity to talk about how Aspinwall police found a taxidermy rhinoceros head on a borough sidewalk.
Nope, missed that one. Sorry.
Hey. Well, the animal, you guys, was found at about 9 p.m. on Saturday when a person walking his dog came across the unusual find at Freeport and Western. A representative from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service was not immediately available. No one has come forward to claim the rhino head yet.
Really?
And that is your top 4.
I'll tell you, that's a lot
See,
there.
I take a day off, and you guys don't hit the most important stories of the day.
So it was a taxidermied rhinoceros head.
Yeah.
How rare would that be?
It has to be very.
Yeah. I mean, it's not
And
like,
so it's not like the kind of thing where I would think you'd be able to buy in a lot of places in the United States. Thank goodness.
yeah.
I think that maybe it would be just good for humans to admit that that's something we don't need.
Right. That and a sofa bed. I mean, those two things together, right? All right, Kath, thanks for bringing us up to
Yeah,
date.
glad
We'll
I
take
could
a
be here.
quick break. When we do come back,
What's that thing called? What's the P word about?
I have no
I'm
idea
looking
what
it
you're
up.
talking about.
Gary knows. He came in, but I forgot what he said. Sorry.
it's
Oh, there we go.
Christy.
The P word update. That's next on the ride home.
What's it called?
When you think about all the things that make up you as a person, all your individual character traits.
Are you thinking about me and my character traits?
Well, no, I'm just saying, in general, right? I mean, there's a reason we're here together because we sort of we share some things. We have some things in common.
You mean me and you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I mean, we find ourselves in this particular situation for years now. I'm grateful, I believe, that you and I think this is probably true for the majority of people, that we have a strong sense of curiosity about the world.
No, I do not think that's the case for the majority of people.
You don't?
Nope. I think hopefully that's the case for the majority of people who listen to our show, because I don't think they'd be listening to our show if they weren't curious.
You don't think most people are
Nope.
curious? What? No, come on. I think that the success of the iPhone, right, having that computer in our pocket, that ability to, let me look this up, right, that's who we are as human beings. And I think we have flourished in some weird ways as a society because of that.
I don't know if that's why most people have a cell phone, is so that they can find out the answer to where the taxidermy rhinoceros head came from.
Right.
Which,
right.
Michelle, is a local story in Pittsburgh today. I'll fill you in about later.
Michelle Van Loon is with us. Michelle is the author of several books, including Born to Wander, Recovering the Value of Our Pilgrim Identity.
Pilgrim Identity.
Something, blah, blah, blah.
He's having a hard day.
I'm having a day of sort of
Weariness.
I'm sorry, Michelle.
Weariness. Okay.
Thanks for being with us, Michelle.
Michelle, we're glad
You
to
don't
see
need all
you,
that.
as always.
You don't need all that.
I'm very glad to see you guys too.
Okay, what do you think?
So
do you think
this is
do you think a
interesting.
lot of people are
Kathy,
curious?
I'm interested in why you are thinking that people might not be curious. Like,
Because I feel like this is going to come off. I don't want to come off sounding like
Elitist?
judgy or elitist. But now that you've used the word elitist, now that's all the people are going to think of.
There it is. Let's call it what it
well,
is.
you use taxidermied rhinoceros too, but I'm
No,
not,
we're all trying to figure out where that came from. No, I feel like instead of encouraging curiosity, I feel like this iPhone that I hold in my hand has killed it in a lot of ways.
Oh, I don't believe that at all.
Oh,
what?
I do.
It's
I do.
emboldened it.
Nope, I don't think it has.
It set it on fire.
Nope, I don't think so. I think it's made, overall, I think it's made us
Lazy?
lazy and less interested in bigger things and interested in lesser things that don't matter. And I don't think that, I think the curiosity, it shouldn't even be applied to lesser things. Curiosity is like a wider thing about people and ideas and the world. And I feel like this makes us, look at the
Okay, all
milk
right, I
crate
get that.
challenge
Okay.
on TikTok.
All right, so then you remember when you were a kid and you were first introduced to the library and you were
Oh, my
like,
gosh.
oh my, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
I'm at the what?
This is all here.
I'm wandering the stacks and I'm looking at there is all of civilization in front of me. That was a turnkey moment for a lot of people, was it not? Michelle, what do you think?
It definitely was for me. I was the kid who, and this is a self-report on my nerd level, so feel free to put that right in there with the taxidermy rhinoceros. But I read through the entire set of world books that were in our house as a
I love
kid. From aardvark to zoology, and I had no idea what to do with all that information, but I was kind of an information junkie. If they had like Kid Jeopardy, I probably would have totally killed on there. Nice. But curiosity, I think for a lot of us, we're kind of enculturated in the church to be the people with answers, not questions.
Absolutely.
So, even beyond the lack of curiosity that you see, because we've got quick answers at our fingertips with an iPhone, or the fact that we can ask all kinds of questions. Believe me, I'm going to be Googling taxidermy rhinoceros when we're done. But, it is a double-edged sword. But I think as people, we kind of grow up and grow out of being comfortable with asking a lot of questions, unless you've got a gig like yours. So you guys have been at this a long time. How do you keep yourselves curious about the guests that are on and the ideas and the questions that come across your desk? How do you not just go, oh, I already know what they're going to say?
No, here's the weird thing. If I didn't have this gig, I think I would still do what I do.
Yeah.
Because I can't help it. I just think it's part of my, the who I am
Yeah.
as a guy, as a person.
Yeah.
Don't you think so?
Yes, I think I'm the same way. Yeah. And I think that maybe I've talked to my kids a lot about this. I don't know if that is something that we're born with or something that our homes encourage in us.
I think it's probably a combination of both, right? I mean, there probably are, like Michelle, like your parents had the wherewithal to provide you with the resources so that you could dive into that.
The World Book.
Right. Now, had they not had that, you would have found probably other resources, right? I mean,
Oh,
you
I would have gotten a library card for sure.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times as we get to be adults and we start to kind of get calcified in our lives and in our in our
right.
social circles, in our ideas, we stop asking so many questions, and our life experience tells us, oh, I already know what they're going to say about that. I don't need to know, I already know. Maybe you don't. And I was doing a little research into this topic last week, and I learned that Jesus asked more than 300 questions recorded in the Gospels and answered only about 8 or 9 of those questions.
Really? That's cool.
depending
Oh,
on
that's
who's
interesting.
speaking. I thought that was really interesting. And it's not that he didn't know, like who touched me when the lady who was hemorrhaging touched him? Maybe he knew, maybe, he knew something. He knew power went out from him, for example. But he asked way more questions than he answered. And maybe in this world that's full of so much confusion and division, maybe learning to ask some good questions is what will keep us childlike and keep us curious and maybe even help us build some bridges.
I love that. We're talking to Michelle Van Loon. Michelle's with us, a monthly guest on our show. She's the author of Born to Wander, Recovering the Value of Our Pilgrim Identity, and her most recent book called Becoming Sage, Cultivating Meaning, Purpose, and Spirituality in Midlife. Michelle, you said something at the beginning of our conversation that is so true, that as Christians, we tend to be interested in giving out answers as opposed to asking questions. And, well, I'm not sure why that is. Why do you think it is?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm
Glad you brought that up.
I remember as a new believer, people handing me discipleship workbooks. This was way back in the day where you just filled in the blanks. And so I thought, if I fill in the blanks, then I've gotten the right answers and I've mastered something. I mastered the ability to answer the questions properly, but learning to obey was a completely different and disconnected process to that. And it still is. But I think people sometimes are afraid of leaving a question hang in the air. I mean, what's you guys' experience sometimes with putting a question out there, and being able to just let it sit there without rushing into answer?
Well, I would say this. Because we're on a timeline, I'm quicker to, rush to judgment to try to find the answer. However, if I didn't have, time constraints, isn't it better to look at where we are right now societal-wise, right? Mm-hmm. And this is what I think. And of course, the echo chamber around that this thinking emboldens, that echo chamber just to be bigger. However, I think all of us would be better off to rid ourselves of our preconceived notions of what we already think we know, and to really make the intentional effort to look to the other side and go, why do they think the way they do? Let me read deeper into their mindset so it will help me understand what's going on. What do you think?
one of the practices that I kind of fell into a few years ago and have continued since we've moved to Florida is being in a conversation group with people who are not at all like me, not the same politics, not the same church background, seeking to put myself in the way of people whose ideas might conflict with mine, so that we all come, kind of the liturgy of this group, if you will, is that we all send our questions in advance, and they may be spiritual formation or news related, or even, like, what was your favorite candy bar when you were a kid? Sometimes those simple throwaway questions are the ones that actually can open up a whole stream of interesting conversation. But the goal is to listen and to ask more questions, not to fix the discomfort of somebody's idea that doesn't kind of align.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I'm
that's good.
throwing that out there just because there may be some people listening that are like, I am in an echo chamber. I like it. It's comfortable here. My lazy boy is here, my popcorn, but maybe this isn't so spiritually healthy for me.
Right. Okay. So, Michelle, are you saying that you're doing this? You're part of a group that does this intentionally? Who
Yes.
developed that? What's the model there?
Actually, I have a couple of friends that hosted a radio show, interestingly, people that were very good at asking questions. And they modeled this on the air for several years. They would get different people in, and they would do that, like on a Friday. They would have everyone come and do their 15 minutes or whatever their segment was of question. Everyone would talk about it. They'd break. They'd come back to the next question. So they kind of modeled it. And when their show went off the air, not because of the questions, but when their show went off the air, I was living in the same area as one of them. And she said, of all the things that we did, this is one of the things I miss the most.
I bet.
And, I know some other people that might be interested, but you're all not on the same page theologically or politically. Would you be willing to try? And she laid out some ground rules for us. I mean, they were basically golden rule ground rules, but it really stretched my ability to ask better questions and also listen, not with a goal of jumping in with the answer, but so that I could be prepared to follow up with another question. So, and I'm continuing that here, and
I love
really
that. Listen, I think that is such a healthy thing.
It sure is. It's rare, isn't it?
It really is. And when you're in the middle of it, you realize how rare it is because it seems so weird, right? Like, wow, we all don't think the same thing.
Right. It's been healthy for me. It's given me things to think about. It's challenged some of my own assumptions. It's also helped me be able to think about, like, what is it that I really need to say about myself or my ideas? And what don't I need to say? Which is a question.
Sure. Sure. And Michelle, you're also a part, in a nationwide group of female writers who are believers in Jesus, and you're all very different. I mean, I think most of the women in the Pelican Project are people that we know and we've had long-term friendships with. You're all very different. And, I think that must be a benefit to each of you as well.
It's a benefit, and it's also, again, not really easy. We've got people on, that all have kind of gathered around the idea of certain, like, this is the stuff worth dying for in our faith. This is the
Primary
things that
importance.
we say in a creed, like this is worth dying for, and everything else is secondary or tertiary, third place in that. And so we have had to learn to navigate charitable conversation, both within the group and publicly. And it's been a great stretching, growing experience. So
It's very generous and very curious.
Yeah. Invite me to your next gathering. That'd be fun.
Michelle, people want to find you. Where can they find you?
well, for that group of women who are leaders and theologians and writers and thinkers. It's thepelicanproject.com. That might seem like a weird name for a group about theology, but if you go to the website, you'll get an explanation of why Pelican, which is a good question. And my website's michellevanloon.com. And I'm around. So,
and she's curious.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Always good, Michelle. Thanks for being with us here today. Always good.
All right.
Listen, the rhinoceros head, you want to fill in? We'll talk about that later, I guess.
The good news is it was taxidermied.
All right.
So
we'll take a quick break, come back. Sirhan seems to be on the verge of being released from prison after more than 50 years. We'll have that next. During the 5 o'clock hour of our show, Mimi and Papa will join us.
I'm excited to talk to Mimi and Papa.
Otherwise known as Kathy and Tim Keller. The Kellers have been regular guests on our show now for some time, and they're babysitting their grandkids. And so they said, "Hey, could our grandkids say hi on the air?" Or am I going to say no to Tim Keller?
Oh.
Hey, Papa, no. Hey, Mimi, I don't think so. So Mimi and Papa will join us and their unnamed
Poor
grandkids.
Tim. I mean, God bless Tim. He comes on the show every month, and I perpetually pick on him for being from Philadelphia because that was his fault. I mean, I don't know how I can save him from that.
But now Papa.
Nice,
Right?
Papa.
The heck?
Anyway, I did think of the P word also for those of you listening to the show.
No, I've never
From
heard of this word.
Provenance.
Provenance, which
Yeah.
is a listing of all the people who have owned the artwork before.
Yeah, so if-
the lineage.
Yeah. So if you buy a Van Gogh, which
Oh,
I was just talking a
At
few minutes
Aldi.
ago about buying a sleeper sofa from Goodwill. So we're definitely the other end of the financial spectrum.
Right.
But if you buy a piece of fine art, it comes with provenance.
wait,
So,
wait. I got a story about a Van Gogh. I can't even believe this is coming up.
what?
I was at Grove City College
Okay.
a couple of years ago. There's a Goodwill up there.
Yeah.
So, like I dropped my kid off and I think I'm going to stop in and see what's going on. So I went into the Goodwill.
See what's going on.
See what's going on.
I'm guessing what's going on. They're probably trying to sell some things.
I went in.
People
They had a
donated.
Van Gogh in the Goodwill, like a print.
Yeah, print,
You know
yeah.
the one in the field, like the harvest.
Yeah, beautiful. There's a whole series of those. I love this.
So I thought, oh, that's a nice little print. I don't have that. I'm going to buy that. And it was in a frame. I took it up, and the lady said, "Oh, I've always really, this is really a nice image. I kind of wanted to buy that." And I was like, "Oh, I don't mean
don't have to buy it, right?
No. She said, "No. You. That's for you. You're the right. You came here. I was like, okay. Well, I took it home, and I thought I could put a better frame on that.
Sure.
So my wife put a better frame on that.
Mm-hmm.
Next time I went up, I thought, I'm taking that with me and I'm going to give it to her.
Aw.
I went into the Goodwill and I was like, hey, I was in here a couple months ago and this woman said, who works here. And she said, oh, she's passed away. And I am so sorry. So now I still have the thing. It's hanging.
Oh,
And how about that?
that was sweet of you to think to
Well,
do
kind of
that,
funny,
but-
yeah, but I didn't mean to do, well, yeah. Anyway.
Well, it's not like you were responsible for
No, I just kind of wonder about that. The Van Gogh at the Goodwill.
All right, listen,
saying.
we need to take a break. Yeah, we're already behind.
Okay.
Yeah, coming up next, Hugh Ross is going to be with us, astronomer, founder, president of Reasons to Believe. We're going to talk about the Milky Way galaxy. Why is it called cattail? Did you know that?
A piece of it. I'm not sure.
I don't
what
know
that
what's
is.
up with
Hugh
that. We're going to
knows.
ask
We
Hugh
don't.
next. Tuesday edition, Ride Home. always happy to have Dr. Hugh Ross back with us. Hugh's been one of our, probably our longest standing guests
Probably
on the
so.
ride home.
Yeah.
We've enjoyed getting to know Hugh so much over the years. Hugh's an astronomer. He's a founder and president of Reasons to Believe, an organization dedicated to integrating scientific fact and biblical faith. His books are numerous, and you'd be blessed to read any of them and interested as well. I would recommend Weathering Climate Change and Navigating Genesis, among all the others. Hugh, welcome back.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Always a pleasure, Hugh. Hugh, you're working on something now that's really interesting, something called a cattail.
Yes, this is a recent discovery. It's actually the first significant discovery to come out of what's called the FAST telescope. China has built the world's largest radio telescope.
Really?
It's 1,640 feet in diameter. And this paper that just got published is basically the discovery of a distant gas-only arm of our galaxy. So at the edge of our galaxy, they discovered a spiral arm or spiral arm extension. It's got no stars in it, but it's got lots of hydrogen gas. And they end the paper by speculating what's going on. We shouldn't expect this at that distance. Moreover, it's not following the warp of our galaxy. Our galaxy's got a tiny warp at its extreme edges. However, one thing they didn't take into account is that our galaxy, we now know, is significantly influenced by the two nearby galaxies, the Large and Small Magellanic Clouds. And those clouds have just the right mass and just the right distance from our Milky Way galaxy to make possible advanced life in our Milky Way galaxy. And I'm speculating that this new filament that they discovered might actually tie in to the emerging design evidence we're seeing from the system of our Milky Way galaxy, the Large Magellanic Cloud, and the Small Magellanic Cloud.
I see. So you're saying that all these things, at least early on, you think that they may work in concert together?
They may. I mean, as they point out in the paper, look, we need a lot more research on what we discovered. Right now, we can't say exactly what's going on, but hey, this is something really interesting, and it could open up a whole new understanding of what's going on in our local group of galaxies. But already we know enough from our measurements on the Large and Small Magellanic Clouds that if it wasn't for those clouds being exactly the right mass and exactly the right distance they are from a Milky Way galaxy, the spiral arm structure of our Milky Way galaxy would either have been significantly distorted or wouldn't exist. And if that was the case, there'd be no possibility for advanced life in our galaxy. We are here because of these structures.
Interesting. Now, what does that have to do with other neighboring galaxies, Hugh?
Well, there's been surveys done of neighboring spiral galaxies to see if they can find anything akin to the Milky Way Magellanic Cloud systems. And I've just finished writing a book on this, where that's one of the chapters in the book. In fact, I'm editing the final piece right now as we speak. And the whole point is, everywhere we look in this vast universe, we cannot find an analog of the Milky Way galaxy and the Small and Large Magellanic Clouds. What we see here is unique. There is no galaxy far, far away in which advanced life can be possible. The Milky Way galaxy is it, and it's it because, in part, thanks to the amazing design features of the Large and Small Magellanic Clouds.
Really? So, Hugh, is that an agreed-upon conclusion by astronomers that if it's not in the Milky Way galaxy, there's no life outside it?
It's getting close to that. I mean, it's only been in the past few months where they've actually reassessed the mass of the Large Magellanic Cloud and realized, hey, it's about 5 times more massive than we previously thought. That's a new discovery. And we now know that it must be exactly that mass in order for the Large and Small Magellanic Clouds to act as a funnel to draw in tiny dwarf galaxies into the center of our Milky Way galaxy. And if it wasn't for that funneling feature, our spiral arm structure would not be symmetrical. The spiral arms wouldn't be far apart, and they wouldn't be stable for the length of time necessary to make advanced life possible. In fact, I refer to the large and small Magellanic Clouds as the dietitians for our Milky Way galaxy.
Really?
They're making sure our galaxy gets just the right input that it needs.
That's fascinating. So the particulars of all this, the gases, the tails, you're saying without that particular order and symmetry and the exactness of it all, then life itself would not have been possible on our galaxy.
Well, what I've done in the book that I'm bringing out in a few months is actually show you the galaxies that come the closest to matching our Milky Way galaxy in terms of our spiral structure. None of them come anywhere close. Our Milky Way galaxy sticks out like a sore thumb. And that's true across the whole universe. We don't find a star like our star, the sun. We don't find a galaxy like our galaxy. We don't find a galaxy cluster like the galaxy cluster we're in. And we've just gotten the technology to be able to find super galaxy clusters. All the other super galaxy clusters, except ours, look radically different. And so we're seeing design at all cosmic size scales. The universe has to be just like it is. Our super galaxy cluster must be precisely fine-tuned. Our galaxy cluster, our local group of galaxies, our galaxy, the local bubble in which we exist in our Milky Way galaxy must be fine-tuned. It's fine-tuning all the way down.
Astronomer Hugh Ross is with us, founder and president of Reasons to Believe. It's an organization dedicated to integrating scientific fact and biblical faith. Hugh is a radio astronomer, and he's also an author. His books include Navigating Genesis and Why the Universe is the Way It Is.
Hugh, go back and talk to us for a minute about the Chinese and the development of this gigantic radio telescope. I'm very curious about the Chinese scientific efforts. I'm sure, as you well know, oftentimes things are clouded in secrecy. How forthcoming were they, and can you just tell us the particulars about the telescope?
Well, the Chinese are investing heavily now in scientific research. They're one of the leading players in the scientific research enterprise. And they knew that the giant telescope in Puerto Rico, a 1,000-foot telescope, was on its last legs. It's been around for 35 years. And so they said, we found a place in China that's got a natural parabolic bowl. We're going to put a telescope there. It doesn't have the steerability of the American one. It's got a much narrower field of view, but it is bigger, 1,640 feet across, and it's the most sensitive radio telescope in the world by far. And yeah, this is one of the first discoveries that's come out of this. And at least in the arena of pure scientific research, there's an openness. After all, a lot of these Chinese researchers have been trained here in the U.S.
I wondered about that, yeah. Yeah, so Hugh, what's the... So I was thinking about how many Chinese scientists received, undergraduate education and graduate education here in the States. Is that a reciprocal arrangement? I mean, are there American... 18-year-olds that decide to, or maybe 21-year-olds that decide for graduate education in China?
That does happen more at the graduate level than the undergraduate level, and particularly the postdoctoral research level. Yeah, so the Chinese are working hard to recruit Western scientists to come and study and do research at their institutions. It's a whole different situation than it was 20 years ago. And what I really appreciate being an astronomer, I see a level of international collaboration that was unheard of when I was a graduate student.
Really?
And so it's typical when you do a research project, you're probably working with astronomers from 7 or 8 different countries.
Very good. Hugh Ross is with us from Reasons to Believe. Hugh, so then before you do leave us, just talk to us again, because I think I always need to go back to this about the perfection of God's watchmaking ability, that all things are working together to produce life here right now. Nowhere else has it been found, but here you see it, and you're able to quantify this very carefully, yes?
We've been doing that for 36 years now at Reasons to Believe, and what's really caused us to get this in a much more spectacular form is to recognize what you see in the Bible. God begins his works of redemption before he creates anything at all, which implies that everything that God's create is for the specific purpose of bringing billions of human beings into a relationship with himself. And so now at Reasons to Believe, we're doing our fine-tuning research from a biblical redemptive perspective. And what we're discovering is every component of the universe, Earth and Earth's life, and every event in the universe, Earth and Earth's life, plays a role in making possible the redemption of billions of human beings in a short period of time. In fact, I now challenge my secular peers who are not yet Christians, saying, look, you may not believe in Jesus Christ like I do, but if you will do your scientific research from a biblical redemptive perspective, it'll make you a better scientist. It's a way to predict future scientific discoveries. So the next book I plan to bring out is basically going to demonstrate the predictive power of doing scientific research from a biblical redemptive perspective.
That's fascinating. Hugh, if people want to follow along with Reasons to Believe, they should go where?
Reasons.org, and I've written 20 books now. The next book will be my 21st.
Wow.
They can get a free chapter of any of my books at reasons.org/Ross.
Very nice. Hugh, always good to check in with you. Thanks so much for your time and for your curiosity, the great scientific work that you're producing at Reasons to Believe.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's always my pleasure.
Hugh Ross, Reasons to Believe, really, reasons.org. Do yourself a favor. Stop by and dig deep into the incredible, immaculate perception of God's universe. Well, it looks like the United States Army is in the dating business. This is weird. Okay, so
No, I like it.
the Army wants to make sure that they are putting training and value back into developing healthy relationships. So they're doing something, something called the V Corps, which I don't know, Army protocol. Strong Bonds is a unit-based, chaplain-led program seeking to enhance soldier resiliency through personal enhancement, right? Sometimes soldiers don't make the right decisions because they don't have the right tools. So says Army Chaplain Eric Winowski. Our goal is to teach soldiers how to have lasting relationships and give them the tools to aid their personal endeavors. So a 6-week course called Tired of Dating Jerks is available to all Army enlistees.
What do you think of that? Tired of dating jerks?
Yeah.
Enlist.
Yeah.
Now, I'd like to throw this to our producer, Christy. Have you dated a jerk, Christy?
I have.
How did you know that? I mean, how
long?
soon?
Well, no, I think how long did it
Yeah.
take to discover it? Is the
Like a
mark.
couple months.
Couple of months into
Yeah.
it. So high expectations, and then you go, oh. Have you dated a jerk?
Yes, absolutely. And you know what?
Have you been a jerk
I'm sure I have.
in the relationship?
Oh, I'm sure
Right,
I have.
of course, everybody is.
Look how long I've been married. Of course I've been a jerk. Let me say, though, that when I was dating the jerk prior to my marriage,
Yeah.
I did not realize how much my family disliked the jerk until the relationship was over.
Oh, they didn't speak out.
Never.
Really, Christy?
Christy?
Does your family chime in?
No, I don't let my family meet them unless it's very, very serious.
Oh.
Very, very
Wait,
serious.
Yeah.
wait. What about us, though?
Well, look, this is a new budding friendship, so
Okay.
maybe.
Ours.
I think we could be helpful in just putting, just like getting an
The jerk
initial.
detector.
Yeah, jerk detector.
Listen, that's my best friend meets them and gives me her
Oh,
opinion.
so she doesn't need us because she has
So,
a best friend.
I
No, that's
mean,
good.
Saying.
she knows me the best, right?
Of course, yeah. You need good friends to vet your choices.
I think she needs 2 more good friends.
Listen, I'll take all the advice I can get.
Okay.
But that would be a big jump to bring, the guy you're dating into work. Who's going to do that?
I think it's fine.
I
We
don't
can no. This is how we do it. She doesn't bring him into work. We just happen to run into them
Oh.
at some social outing.
Hi, guys.
Hi,
Hey,
look at- I can't
so
believe you
weird
guys are
to
here.
meet you here.
John and Kathy.
Right. Here we are outside the studios.
Yeah. Right.
So
Or we're-
strange.
we
Did you-
can- like they're at a restaurant? Like we show up. We're like eating at like an ancillary table.
Together, like we all, that happened. Oh, hi.
Because John and I eat out a lot
Hey,
together.
let
the
me
two of
send
us.
you over an appetizer just to say hi. Would you like some calamari? And listen, guy
like some
who's with
calamari.
Christy, don't be a jerk
Don't be a
because we're
jerk
coming
to
for you,
her.
my friend.
That's right.
Just keep us informed,
That'd
Christy.
be terrible. We,
That would
we're
be
pro- we
horrible.
probably shouldn't do that
Like,
way.
no. Anyway, the Army's in the business
Don't
of
date a jerk.
protecting their soldiers.
Don't date a jerk, and we're in the business of protecting her.
All right.
I think it's fine.
Put on your fatigues and get
Okay.
out there. All right. Take a break. Mimi and Papa.
Tim and Kathy Keller coming up in just a little bit on the ride home.
Hey, good afternoon. Greetings. Thanks for coming along today. I can't see outside. Is it raining right now? Do you think it's raining out there?
I think it's raining.
You know, one of the great features of the web, you know, like the phone in your pocket. I can't tell you how much I love. I don't know why. Looking at the weather radar. Don't you love this? I mean, there it is. You just pull it up and you kind of go, oh, look at that, you know, and then you can see kind of like, you know, the weather floating. Oh yeah. I'm looking at my own. There's a lot going on there. So yeah, lots of rain is headed our way. So anyway, I'm just.
Oops.
Well, you know, turnabout's fair play.
You guys.
You know,
You guys.
Welcome to the show. I did this last week where I was making a cup of coffee and got stuck up in the K cup thing out there in the kitchen. I was pressing buttons, you
I
know.
was talking to my daughter about car insurance.
Oh, good.
Hi, welcome. It's
That's
a
all right.
Tuesday edition of the Ride Home.
I'm just talking about the radar in the pocket there,
Is
looking
it-
at the rain. Which, do you look at the radar? in your
Never.
I do this like
I know.
I do it like 10
I
times
know,
a day.
and so does my husband. He's
I love
like
it so much.
into the radar. I'm like, whatever's coming is coming.
No.
What is,
You
like,
want to see it. It's so cool. I mean, of all the things that I love about my phone, the radar, I think, is like top 3.
What?
It really is.
Okay, I'm going to ask you
I
this.
just love it.
Okay.
Do you like it, Christy?
I love it. Listen, I have an Apple Watch and I have the weather on my phone, so on my watch, so I can always see it.
See?
What? I don't look, you guys.
Bingo.
All right, so let me ask you. We haven't prepared this, but
Like we do.
okay. What are the apps that right now you're using most on your phone?
The apps that I'm using most of the time. Well, I look at the eBay app pretty much every day.
All right, that's interesting.
I love eBay.
Yeah.
I don't buy a whole lot on eBay.
Okay.
But I always search weird stuff.
Okay, that's interesting.
I just looked. I just downloaded an app today, the recreation.gov, because you know I'm going to go camping,
yeah, whatever.
and
At the beach.
I'm looking at that on a regular basis.
Okay.
My other top apps that I do, I look at my credit card app. I look at
Your credit card app.
yeah.
What? Just to kind of see like where.
I look at where I am.
Oh,
you know,
okay, okay.
You know, I've been really proud of myself. I have this one credit card. I have no credit cards. I have one, and I'm right now. I have $135 on it.
Oh, that is awesome.
That's the only one I
Good
have.
for you.
And I just kind of go, oh, that looks pretty good there. I look at Instagram because I like to look at beautiful things
Sure.
on a regular basis, and of course Twitter.
Okay, Christy.
Twitter,
Twitter.
messages, is that considered an
I
app?
don't think that is an
All
app.
right.
I think
Is that Facebook messages?
No.
No,
like
no, just
texting.
text
Oh,
messages.
okay, yeah.
So if we're not counting that,
Yeah.
Amazon.
Oh, Amazon.
Love Amazon.
Amazon.
I love Amazon.
Really? Okay. What do you? So, are you just going on there to look around?
No, you're
Or-
buying.
Yeah, buying.
Okay.
You know,
What are you buying? Okay, can you tell me the last thing that you bought? Can you? I mean,
Oh, this is going to be good. I can't wait
your
to hear this.
orders.
it arrived today.
Oh,
It was a grooming kit for Milo.
Oh,
so he can be
very
even
nice.
more handsome than
Yeah.
he already is.
Yeah,
Nice.
Love
What'd that
Milo.
cost you?
like $30.
Okay.
Okay.
How about you?
Okay. So, all right. So, I would say that Twitter, Instagram. I use Scannable.
What's Scannable?
Okay, Scannable, this is going to sound so really boring compared to everything you guys have said, but it's an app that just you use your the camera on your phone to make PDFs of.
You can do that in Notes. You don't even need a separate app.
You can do that in Notes.
Girl,
I
I
didn't know,
got you. I'll show you.
I didn't know that. I use PDFs a lot in my work, and scanning on my scanner is such an absolute pain. And creating PDFs that way, I didn't know I could do it in Notes.
I will show you guys.
Anyway, so I use Scannable a lot. Maybe I won't be using
Okay.
Scannable much because I'm going to figure out how to do it. And no, Scannable is a great app, though. And from Notes, can you automatically email it to yourself?
Yep.
Oh, it's a terrific thing.
See?
It's changed my life.
That's why you want to have 27-year-old
sure.
with you as your producer.
Let me also
Taking care of
say
business.
Amazon is an app I use often. Would you like to know what I ordered last and just arrived today?
Batteries,
Air fryer.
air fryer, an air fryer.
Never had an air fryer.
Yeah, how's that?
Is that going to be a bad idea?
Love mine.
You do.
I have an Instant Pot and an air fryer in one.
What?
It's the most amazing thing ever.
Really?
Well, okay, so I'm having my kitchen completely ripped out. So I'm going to be without a kitchen for about 3 months. And a friend of mine suggested that I should use an air fryer. So Amazon had a sale and I bought it.
Did it come?
It just came today.
Oh, so you're going to try it when?
Well, I don't know. Considering I haven't cooked in the last 5 days, I better,
Right.
you know.
What's a simple? What would be a thing that you would make in an air fryer?
Yeah, Christy?
Now I feel like really stupid.
Oh,
but
no.
Why? Why?
I make like chicken nuggets in my air fryer.
That's fine. No, that's
yeah,
fine.
like
Like
or like
fries.
chicken patties. Yeah, fries.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd never had one. I don't know what I'm
What would you what would you make it like a Cornish hen in
I'm
your
not
air
making
fryer?
a Cornish hen. Although I do have a friend who said that she cooks fish in it regularly.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a piece of salmon.
Yeah.
In the air fryer.
Yeah.
How big is it? Is it bigger than a bread basket?
The box is big. I didn't unpack it. I mean, it literally came as I was walking out the door
Really?
to go to work. And so I'm not. Is yours big, Christy?
Well, because mine's a 2-in-1, mine's big, but my friend does have just an air fryer, and yeah, it's pretty big.
Really?
Okay.
Bigger than a bread? Like, is it like a micro? Is it like the size of a microwave?
Maybe a little smaller. So it's probably round, right?
Yeah, mine's
so,
round.
Yeah, it's round, which makes it like big.
What's
Yeah.
the difference between an air fryer and
An
The
Instant
Instant
Pot.
yeah?
The Instant Pot is a pressure cooker.
And an air fryer is an air fryer.
Yeah.
I got nothing. Seriously. I mean, I think I'm all good like in a microwave. Like that's like so 70s.
You know what? I seriously thought about not putting a microwave in our new kitchen because I
Why?
use it. I hardly ever use it.
You never use your microwave?
No.
I use it every day.
Do you? For what?
Well, you know, reheated my coffee.
Oh, okay.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? I mean, you're like reheating sauce or something like that, or defrosting. Why did you?
Defrosting is the thing I use it for.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really the only thing. But I never do anything else in it. Like if I'm heating something up, I'd rather heat it on the stove.
Yeah, of course.
Because it makes the texture funky
Right,
if you
yeah.
use a microwave. For
What are you
that.
using your microwave for?
Making breakfast sandwiches in the morning.
Oh, do you? You pop
Yeah.
those suckers in there?
Yep.
Right.
Could you do that in your air fryer?
I mean, I don't know. I've never tried. There's no directions on there for air fryer. It's just microwave because
Oh,
you have
no.
to defrost it. It's just a frozen breakfast sandwich.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Let's have a breakfast sandwich.
I like a breakfast sandwich a
Yeah,
lot.
I mean,
Like
I
an
never have one.
I never
well,
do either.
I'm
but I
always
love
late running out the door.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Have an apple. Put that in your.
it. I had a
Instant Pot.
banana that had spots on it today, and you know that's hard for me.
Oh, that's horrible.
But
No,
I
no.
felt like I had purchased the bananas and I needed to eat them, and so I did.
Right. I haven't eaten anything. Oh, today I had 3 Triscuits.
I offered you a Belvita and you
I
didn't
said
want
no.
it. Why?
Because I'm waiting.
What, you're
I
waiting?
had tacos for lunch. I could have hooked you up.
I'm waiting. I'm doing my intermittent thing.
Oh, okay. All right.
Good for you.
Well, then,
Good for you.
But man, am I hungry.
look at how you and I are trying to drag him aside.
No,
He's
right,
trying to
kid.
do fasting, and we're like, come on, have
No,
a snack.
I'm just doing my, you know what I mean? I'd like to have some peanut M&Ms. That's
Oh,
what
my
I dream
gosh.
of. All right.
Guess I think I had 10
Oh, we
mint
should get out of
Oreos
here.
last night.
Oh, very nice.
Okay,
Let's get out of
coming
here.
up next.
Mimi and
Mimi and Papa are up next. Tim and Kathy Keller. They're babysitting their grandson, apparently. He's going to say hi in a little bit, but we're going to talk to them about the latest in their family, checking in with the Kellers. That's next. It's the Tuesday edition. We're glad you're here on the ride home.
Tim and Kathy Keller are with us. They've been regular guests on our show these last several months or so. And you may know the name, Tim Keller. Him and his wife, Kathy, they have found Redeemer Church in Manhattan in 1989. They've written numerous books together. And here to talk to us about life in the big city. And Tim, Kathy, welcome to the show. How you guys doing?
Thank you.
Doing
We're
fine.
Good.
Okay, so we hear that you're Mimi and Papa right now. Is this true?
Yeah, we are. Girls, you want to say hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Yes.
Hi, who did we just hear from, Kath?
Say what?
Who did we just hear from?
You heard from Lucy and Kate.
Lucy. I love those names.
Very nice. Very nice. Now, they do have some Pittsburgh lineage in them, so they are in some ways,
Our brethren.
they are us, yes, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. In fact, I believe your dad and his brothers are all going to meet in Pittsburgh to see a Steelers game, aren't they? Going to to Pittsburgh, yeah, they are. My three sons are all going to go on a brothers trip to watch the Steelers play. I'm not sure when, but I've heard that it's being planned.
Oh, that's awesome. That is terrific. All right, so let me ask you, for Lucy and Kate and their other cousins, what's it like to visit Mimi and Papa? I mean, are you guys like the fun grandparents? Are you like the serious, like studious ones? I mean, what's the experience?
Be honest.
I think they're really fun, and they're also very wise, and they know a lot of stuff.
We're not the fun grandparents. The other grandparents, Nana and Grandpa, are the fun grandparents that are silly and dance and take them to the lake and stuff. We're the ones that always have something serious on our minds.
Oh, that's
You're the wise
the wise
grandparents.
ones.
I mean,
Oh.
that's be kind of hard to beat. Let's go see the wise grandparents.
I
right? Yeah.
love that. I love that. Okay, Tim, how's it different being a papa and being a dad?
Oh, dear. Only grandparents know. Sorry, if you're not a grandparent,
Yeah, that's
you
why
can't
I'm
understand.
asking,
That
because I'm
sounds
not a
very
grandparent.
strange.
I need to get it.
Well, I think it's completely fair to put it this way, that when grandchildren come along, it opens a door in your heart to a room you didn't know was there,
Oh,
Huh,
and
really?
that no one else has access to. It is not the same as your children, and it's very difficult to explain that. But it is not the same as anything else. There's nothing quite like it. And so every grandparent I've ever talked to, when I describe that and say there's a unique love and bond that isn't the same as your children, but it's not like anybody else either. Everybody says that's it. It's unique. It's like they have their own room in your heart, their own category, if you want to put it that way.
Interesting.
And I can't really go beyond that. You just grandparents nod and they talk to each other. It sounds very like a secret society.
It does.
And you have to know the secret handshake. But I think everybody, every grandparent always says, "Yep, that's right."
That's cool.
So it's kind of interesting.
Is there something that you see, the mistakes that you may have made as a parent and think, well, I won't make those with my grandkids because the pressure's off? What do you think, Kath?
It's actually the opposite. I
Really?
see my daughters-in-law being far better mothers and my sons even being far better parents than what we were. And I think to myself, why didn't I have them around to help coach me? And then I realized they were the same age as my kids when I needed the coaching. It would not have worked to have a 3-year-old telling, "Oh, you're not supposed to do it that way." But no, they are some miraculously amazing parents that my sons married amazing women, and
Oh,
the
isn't
women
that
tutored them.
terrific?
So I feel like I'm learning all the stuff I should have known but didn't back when I was actually a mother.
Yeah, that's interesting. I have 2 daughters, and one of them's at work with me today, and she's 23, and we've just gone through the tumultuous experience of buying her first car. And so, you remember those days, like they've just graduated from college, they're trying to kind of step out and
Establish
figure
it.
things out and establish themselves and that sort of thing. But it was interesting when we were talking yesterday, I was struck again again, and this has come to me multiple times as they've been growing up, and I'm kind of curious to see what you guys think about this, is that you raise children, but then you realize at some point that you are also co-heirs in the kingdom, right? And so it's not that I'm not her mom anymore, because I still am, but there's like a different family element that you recognize that, wow, we're all like in this together now. Can you guys
having a relationship. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Having a relationship to your adult children is a whole new ball game. When you think that you've got it figured out, you can throw it all away, and it's just, it's all over. It starts all over.
And are you saying that in a good way or a bad way?
Kathy? I would say what Kathy certainly means is that in some ways you not quite start from scratch, but because the relationship is so different than it was when you were in charge, you were in control.
Right.
They were really under your tutelage and control. Now they are equals, and yet at the same time they are still somewhat dependent on you. Mm-hmm. There's still a dependency, and they themselves sense. Sometimes I'm over-dependent, and then other times they can overdo the independence and forget, well, we're still a family, and there's still deference, and there's still we're still in a relationship in which we're not. It's not the same thing as a friendship, frankly, or any other relationship in which you can choose your friends and you choose your other associates. With the family, you haven't chosen them. So it's a strange spot to be, and that's what I think Kathy means is you go back and forth between maybe taking hands off too much, almost, or keeping the hands on too much, and it's not just you, the parent, or it's also the children. Sometimes are too independent or too dependent. And,
that's interesting.
And very often, sometimes you may if you have two kids. For example, one of them might be too dependent on you, and one, into their 20s, and one might be too independent of you and not really listening to any kind of counsel. So.
We're talking with Tim and Kathy Keller. So speaking to this a little further, Kath and Tim, I mean, you just came back from a vacation at the beach where all of you were together, right? Your adult children, your grandchildren.
Everybody together. Same roof.
Yeah, so go into that a little deeper. I mean, that had to be enjoyable, but of course, being together with family, there's also landmines to avoid as well.
Everybody has a little bit different parenting style, and you have to be willing to keep your mouth shut and let the parents handle things, and then sometimes when the parents aren't around, step in, and that maybe the parents aren't real happy with what you said or what you did, and there just has to be some forgiveness and grace. That's why C.S. Lewis said when we go home we can actually drop all the facade of being ciphers like just voters or employees, where everybody is same unisex and everything's the same,
right.
and assume roles, and but it's necessary for there to be forgiveness and repentance, and you can only do that in the home and in the church. So it's one of those things. Don't try this anywhere but home. Anyway,
Kathy put her finger on it, though. When a child, we have 3 children, 3 sons, 3 families. When a child doesn't do something the first time you say, do it, what is your response as a parent?
Yeah.
The fact is that all 3 of all 3 of the families don't quite respond the same way. They actually now they actually can even tell you how each family has somewhat different style.
And they talk about it to each other. They have
but
really
they
good
do,
terms
and that's
with
the
each
reason
other.
why they're getting along. That's the reason why we really did not have a lot of
drama.
There wasn't a lot of drama because after all these years, every one of the couples now realizes that each couple has a somewhat different philosophy when it comes to some of these things. Yeah. The reason why there's a little bit of conflict is the kids are all together, and so you have all 7 kids together. Very often you have one couple or one parent dealing with all of them, and they'll deal with them the way they deal with their own children. And some of the other cousins will say, "Wait a minute, what?" But the fact is that the kids respect each other's differences now.
That's good.
And they
can
understand the
and they can
differences.
talk about those differences, Tim.
Oh yeah, they
See,
can
that's
articulate
terrific.
them.
That's
They'll
really
sit around,
really
they'll-
good.
Yeah, they'll sit around. They'll say, "Well, now Mike and Sarah do this, and John and Anne Marie do this, and David and Jen do it this way, and we prefer ours, but we also know that there's other philosophy." So they can name that. But I'd say 5 years ago, they were still learning them and feeling like the other people don't know what they're doing.
Wow, it's all of a sudden it sounded like
And
Twitter.
to be fair, they have forbidden us in no uncertain terms from ever teaching or writing a book on parenting because we were so abysmal at it. And so we never have. If you want to know why there's no Keller book on parenting or no sermon or podcast, because we were given a total gag rule by our kids.
That is
Well,
right.
thank goodness you report something.
because we're talking to Tim and Kathy Keller, and Tim is a New York Times bestselling author. The Reason for God and The Prodigal God have sold over 2 million copies, have been translated into 25 languages. Tim's latest book is Hope in Times of Fear, The Resurrection and the Meaning of Easter. Okay, so no parenting book for you guys. Are there any other threats that your children have put on you, like don't you dare tell the story about when I did this?
They never had to say that. We just never, and any of you pastors who are out there listening, we just never thought it was appropriate to use family anecdotes as illustrations in sermons. For one thing, it puts too much pressure on your kids, and for another thing, it leaves out the single people in your congregation. If all you're going to do is tell family, kid, parent stories, then the singles are out there saying, "What am I, chopped liver?"
Right.
In fact, I had a pastor who used to routinely send me his sermons and say, "Edit these, critique me," and which I thought was very humble of him. And my most frequent critique was, your only illustrations came from your family life, and not everybody's in a family, so
really wise,
watch it.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk, Tim, about your health. You've been with us several times over these last months, and I've talked about your battle with pancreatic cancer. You sound good. You sound healthy. How are things?
Well, we actually recently did, do a
week ago today. You had your scan.
A scan, and we're not completely done with analyzing things. The main thing that's wonderful, and the main thing that we can be grateful for and keep praying for, is the cancer, pancreatic cancer. That when you give it chemo, it sometimes it doesn't respond at all. In other cases, it stops it for a while, but then it just marches right back and goes into the other organs and takes you out. And as we all know, pancreatic cancer is very, very lethal. But for whatever reason, what it looks, even what we got just last week, is the cancer still seems to be almost completely stalled after now 16 months. And, the stats are usually it comes and gets you within about a year in most cases, once after diagnosis. So we're very grateful that it is.
Well, we're
I don't
sure
know
that
why.
it's people's prayer. No, we do know why. People have been praying that the treatment would be effective and that the side effects would be minimal, and we really need that. They've jacked up his chemotherapy back to its original level after giving him 8 months of a lower dosage, just because his body's responded well to that higher dosage. And tomorrow, actually, you could pray because he's having a small little mystery bump removed in his doctor's office. It's not a big surgery or anything like that. We'd like that to be a benign mystery. But so there's there.
So the answer is it's not remission. It's not remission, but it's at the same time a remarkable response to my treatment so far, and so I'm continuing to chug along.
Fabulous. That's really, really good news. Thanks for that update. And we will continue to pray for you.
Absolutely. Be happy
So,
to.
guys, in the short time that you have left with us, can you talk about, we just as, people, as a nation in many ways. I mean, I think everyone who's watching the news, you've seen Afghanistan and what's happening there, the heartbreak there. Of course, what's happening in New Orleans and the heartbreak there. It's kind of hard to be part of the news cycle, to be alive in the 21st century, to be a believer, and to make sense of it all. I mean, today I was going, I'm kind of like,
weary.
I was weary. Yeah, today at the top of the show, I was just talking about being weary. And Tim and Kath, I'm sure you with your cancer diagnosis and just life itself, right? Living in New York City will certainly make you weary no matter what. How do you guys,
Navigate
balance
that?
all that?
In the short time we have left.
Yeah.
You got 30 seconds to talk about
or you
it.
could write your next book about it.
Yeah, right.
Well, actually, I would say this. Here's the thing: is Kathy and I very often we are dealing. There's a little bit of comfort in dealing with pancreatic cancer and just surviving, and just crying out to God. In other words, in some ways, it does take your mind off of all the other problems out here, because you are just saying, I really
in a
need.
selfish kind of way. So it's not
not in a
necessarily
selfish
all
way,
good.
but in a way that actually does distract somewhat. On the other hand, what very often we pray every night. Kathy and I always pray at night, and sometimes we just have to dial out and say, Lord, our culture, our society, and the American church seem to be in the worst state they've ever been in our lifetime. And we just ask for your mercy and revive and renew our culture and renew our church. So that's a very, very short answer. We dial out, and I would say the weariness, in some ways, it might be a little bit diminished because we're just spending so much of our spiritual metabolism on just dealing with cancer and that sort of thing.
Sure.
But the fact is that we're not ignoring that, and we can't not care about it. And I've actually started doing a little bit of writing about where I feel like at least the church needs to be going.
Yes,
because
and
I don't think it's
put in
ever.
a blurb for that since I'm the editor.
Go ahead.
4 times a year we publish a journal, long-form journalism. Instead of a newsletter, we publish a journal called the Gospel and Life Journal. It'll come out in September, and Tim has a 5,000-word essay in it on. It's the first of a 4-part series on what's the matter with the church and how can it be turned around and fixed. And so this will be the first installment.
And you can't. I know we have to end. You can't talk about that without talking about what's going on in our society, because they kind of go together.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing some thinking about it, John. That's the main
Good.
point. I'm doing some thinking about it.
Good.
But as far as the disasters and the heartbreak and all around the world, Haiti and Afghanistan and that sort of thing, you just have to keep reminding yourself that God is sovereign and He's playing the long game.
Yeah.
We do not see His purposes. We do not understand them. But St. Teresa of Avila is said to have said, once we get to heaven, we will turn around and look at all that we suffered and say, that was like a bad night. One night in a bad hotel.
Amen to that.
Is so good. Well, listen, you guys, at the beginning of our conversation, Lucy and Kate referred to you guys, Mimi and Papa, as, the wise grandparents.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get sappy because we have such a good time with you guys, but we really do count on you both for the wisdom that you bring to all of us in the church. And
Thanks so
so
much.
we're really grateful.
We need you.
Yeah, for your conversation, for all the work that you've produced, and just for the fact that you guys are just brothers and sisters in Christ, and you're just keeping on.
And you're regular people.
That we can we can sign on to
My
regular
wife's from
people.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
My wife is Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh only produces regular people.
That's
Well,
right. Now what's your excuse for Philadelphia?
Because it's still barely in Pennsylvania, so we're pretty regular people too.
Tim and Kathy, thanks an awful
Take
lot,
care,
you
you
guys.
guys.
Really appreciate it. Love
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Mimi and Papa, Tim and Kathy Keller.
Yeah.
That's very good. We'll take a quick break, step away. We got more ahead. It's The Ride Home with John and Kathy. We're Pittsburgh's Christian Talk here on 101.5 Word FM. That's WORD.
this make sense?
Does what make sense?
The extended warranty.
Oh, boy. Oh.
You know, you're buying a refrigerator, you're buying a car,
Yeah.
you're buying your air fryer from Amazon.
Right. You can buy an extended warranty for a pair of underwear. I mean, just
You
about
name
any.
it.
Seriously, you really can. Okay, I would say the extended warranty makes sense depending upon what you're using the warranty for. Like the refrigerator,
Yeah.
the last refrigerator we had was such a complete and total disaster that when we bought a new refrigerator, which of course they're not cheap, we bought the extended warranty.
Because of your bad experience before.
Yes, and we have used it twice in the interim.
Okay.
Now the car warranty, I don't know.
What do you think? I don't know.
I mean, to me, generally, I believe the warranty thing is a scam.
Yeah. I
So-
think that too, except that you can envision in your mind
Right.
what
The
happens when your
thousands of
transmission
dollars.
dies.
So again, it's not a one size fits all. For the appliances like the refrigerator, it makes sense. Other stuff, use at your own peril. For you,
I don't know.
oh, you don't have an opinion?
I don't have an answer, you guys. That's why I'm asking the question. Sometimes you don't come with your opinion fully formed. I don't know. I feel like the security that it brings is good.
Yeah, but you're spending all that money.
But I will tell you that I did buy one for my washing machine, and when I went to call the repairman, he had to remind me that I had it.
Oh,
Okay.
You forgot the extended warranty.
Yeah, so maybe I'm not the best person.
All right. I would say in certain circumstances, like your appliances, specifically your refrigerator, it makes good sense. For your car, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
So it doesn't make sense to me. Buyer beware. All right. Does this make sense? The electric scooters driving around the city of Pittsburgh.
People, they're everywhere.
I saw somebody in the Squirrel Hill tunnels.
you didn't.
I almost ran the guy over. I mean, heaven help me. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
And listen, there's no training involved.
Nope.
They go super fast. You don't have to wear a helmet.
Right.
I believe it's just insanity.
It's on my last nerve.
It's on your left.
It does
Plus,
not
they're littering.
make sense.
How about in Oakland? They're like hanging on on the sidewalk. You got to walk.
Okay, plus, anyone who's concerned or in any way aware of fitness,
Get
come
off.
on.
Take a walk.
Like,
However,
propel yourself.
do we sound like old people shaking our fist at a crowd?
Yeah, we do.
Christy, does it make sense to you?
It doesn't, but
Thank you.
Okay, good. That's from a 27-year-old. Okay, electric scooters. That's a scam.
That's a get out of here.
Go ride your
Annoying.
bike. Would you
Yeah.
please? The warranty? Yes, sign up. Sirhan Sirhan. If you were alive in 1968, you certainly know that name. But after Sirhan Sirhan assassinated Robert Kennedy in a hotel kitchen in Los Angeles and then was sentenced to death not that long afterwards, he quickly left the national consciousness. Now, the really weird thing is that this last week, Sirhan Sirhan came up for a parole hearing once again. And he was, shockingly so, I see from my perspective, shockingly so, granted parole. Now, the weird thing is that RFK, Bobby Kennedy's kids, of which him and his wife Ethel had 11 children, 9 are surviving. Ethel Kennedy is still alive. This has split the Kennedy family apart. The children of deceased Robert F. Kennedy are split over news that the man who assassinated their father has been granted parole. Now, the really odd thing is that Bobby Kennedy Jr. and another son, Joe Kennedy, went to the parole hearing. Now, in the past, the Kennedy children have always ignored the parole hearings. Mm-hmm. But this time, both sons, the older sons, showed up and they were in favor of granting Sirhan Sirhan parole. So, because the family spoke in favor, the parole board has taken this up and they have agreed that Sirhan Sirhan, now at the age of 77, he has been in prison for more than 50 years, will at some point in the near future. It's undetermined whether that will be weeks or months, but in the near future, Sirhan Sirhan will be a free man. I think it's a fascinating story. Of course, you weren't even born in 1968. So to think about this man who, the summer of 68 was a cataclysmic summer. Martin Luther King Jr. was killed.
That was the summer I was born.
Okay. So Martin Luther King Jr. was killed.
And then just months later.
The riots in Chicago at the Democratic National Convention and Mayor Daley took place. And then Bobby Kennedy was killed in Los Angeles. It just shook America. Of course, the Vietnam War at its apex, it shook America to the core. So to think about Sirhan Sirhan, now his brother, Sirhan Sirhan's younger brother, is still alive, and the word is that he will be, once released, go live with his brother.
How do you exist in life when you've been in prison for 50 years? There's
53 years of incarceration.
I don't know how you could possibly come up with an
operation,
a workable situation for yourself. Right. That is.
Now, Sirhan Sirhan spoke, and he said this: over half a century has passed, and that young, impulsive kid I was does not exist anymore. Senator Kennedy was the hope of the world, and I harmed all of them. And it pains me to experience that the knowledge for such a horrible deed came from my actions alone. Now, the weird thing is, of course, anything that the Kennedy family is involved with is always imbued with tons of controversy. That Bobby Kennedy Jr. met Sirhan Sirhan a few years ago and came away with this. He believes this is true, that Sirhan Sirhan did not kill his father, that there was another shooter in that kitchen. And so a whole conspiracy, the library of books that have been written about the assassination of JFK has now transferred to Bobby Kennedy. In those close quarters of that kitchen in that Los Angeles hotel, it is supposed, and people who were shot by Sirhan Sirhan have also picked this up. A guy who was shot at close range says it wasn't Sirhan Sirhan, it was someone else.
Oh my gosh. Look, we can't do this again. Come on.
We are going to do it.
Okay.
So the national conversation will go on. But to think about, you're one of...
there was no consideration of there being another shooter at that time.
Not at the time. After the fact, there was.
Well,
because that's just the world that we live in.
Well, he's not asserting his innocence.
Wait, who is not?
Sirhan. He's not saying he didn't do it.
No, he's not.
Well, so then if he's not saying he didn't do it, then why are
there are other people who were shot in that room who are asserting his innocence. I don't know. Anyway, can you imagine he went into jail when he was 23 years of age. And now at some 70, what did I say?
76, I think?
76, 77 years of age. He's going to walk the streets again. It's what is that? Talk about post-traumatic stress disorder.
Right. The states are unrecognizable.
Yeah. And can you imagine spending, that's like, spending 50 years of being told what to do.
Right. And and having, you don't have to worry about cooking. You don't have to worry about, I'm not trying to make it look like it's, some walk in the park. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that when you come out as a free man, that's touted as being this great thing.
Gift.
But I can't imagine that for a lot of people it is. I mean, we all saw Shawshank, right?
That's exactly it, right? Yeah. I mean, you think about your life is ordered.
Yeah.
There is a symmetry to it. You are told when to eat, when to sleep, when to clean, when to relax, or if you can. All that. And then all of a sudden you walk out and you're left to your own devices. I can't imagine what that's like. Anyway, the 60s are back, and Sirhan at some point will be released.
All right, we need to step away. When we come back, Hurricane Ida has forced a lot of things to happen. In fact, we're going to be talking about Hurricane Ida with a friend of ours, Ian Gunn, who is from New Orleans, making his way out with his family even now. He's going to be joining us on tomorrow's show. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on in New Orleans next on The Ride Home.
Well, this happens whenever there is a major storm, which is, of course, happening or happened in Louisiana over the weekend. But animal shelters who know that they're going to get hit by the storm go, oh, we're going to reach out to some partners of ours and ship our dogs and cats out of harm's way. And it looks like it's happened in Louisiana. A large shipment of animals has found its way to Delaware. And, of course, they're spread out. These animals are going to be spread out all over the United States. Can you imagine just the idea of transporting how many, 10, 15, 50 cats at a time, what that's like?
I try to take 2 of them to the vet, and I'm about losing my mind. I just think we're so privileged to live in a society that has enough compassion that we have some for animals.
Yeah.
I really do.
That pipeline
I don't say
exists.
that. I don't say that lightly. I really don't. I think that's a really wonderful thing.
Yep.
Especially when Louisiana communities are suffering in such tremendous ways. I mean, it's just...
Wouldn't it be cool? This is weird, but wouldn't it be cool, like if you like a cat meowed with an accent? Like if you had like a dog, barking like with a Louisiana accent.
That'd be great.
Cool.
That would be great.
I really like that.
No. Have you ever been in a hurricane?
No.
Any storm?
No.
Any big like?
Well, no, wait. No, I was in New York City, and there was a gigantic. I don't know what it was. And this is way back in the mid '80s.
Okay.
And I remember you had to tape up your windows with the big X's. So when the windows shattered in my apartment building, the landlord, make sure you tape your windows with a big X.
Okay.
And then you could see probably years after, you go, take your X down. I don't know what storm that was, but yeah, it was a bad storm. But I don't think it was,
a hurricane.
No.
Okay.
Have you?
Well, no, I've never been in a hurricane. No, the worst storm I was ever in was a lightning storm, and lightning struck a tree probably 30 feet from where I was.
Oh my gosh!
And I am telling you, it was
make you jump a mile.
It was one of the scariest things I have ever seen.
Isn't that scary?
Felt. I did see it, but the seeing was not the problem.
Yeah, feeling.
The amount of electricity being that far away from it, it was, wow.
Yeah. I mean, the power of that, isn't it? You're going to go,
yeah, that was
Lord.
really something.
The fear of the Lord.
Oh.
I mean, can you imagine people who don't fear God and just a little tiny molecule of the power of a storm, and then you think about the might of the Lord?
Or what about our earlier conversation with Hugh Ross talking about the Milky Way galaxy and then the surrounding galaxies?
Yeah.
I mean, for all of our certainty about everything we're tweeting about, I mean,
it's laughable.
It is ridiculous
to
think that the God of the universe, who is, the king of the cosmos, and the idiotic stuff that we're absolutely so consumed by, and that we think we're so correct in.
Or that moment of judgment when you know God has something to say to you.
Yeah.
I mean, if that doesn't scare you to take your breath away.
Yeah.
But the knowledge that Christ is our Lord and Savior, and he loves us and has forgiven us in his grace, that takes away all the fear.
It's the only way forward.
Right.
The only way forward.
I mean, people are passing away, and you think, oh, you're terrified.
Yeah.
Well, with good reason.
Yeah. That's not
no.
That is an emotion that makes sense.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, thanks for being with us.
Yeah.
We have run the gamut here throughout today's show.
We sure have. If you missed any part of it, you can go to get our podcast wherever you get your podcast, because it's available on 40-some platforms.
Yeah, we're on YouTube.
Also, you can watch the show on YouTube, and you see some clips there. What's the word Pittsburgh is the name of our YouTube channel.
The word Pittsburgh, there we are.
I almost forgot there for a minute.
All right.
Look forward to hearing from all of you. Keep in touch with us on Twitter, on Facebook.
Stay dry. Be careful, man. We're going to get crushed by those the hurricane backwash. But such is life. Have a great night.